Hi, Doc here. We're going to start working on the Media Queries lab here today, and this builds upon the previous step of designing a prototype for doing our three-screen layout with the fluid grid. And from that, you should have created a set of wireframes with a basic layout showing different divs for layout, and then come up with the mathematical numbers that you're going to use, the percentages based upon the 960 grid. So we're moving forward from that. And so what I want to do is I just want to create a folder for us to do this exercise in. And I'm going to call it Fluid Grid and Media Queries. Within that, I want to, first off, while I'm here, I'm just going to go ahead and create my link from the media queries to that folder. In order to do that, I'm going to come up here to the common toolbar. That's the toolbar I'm looking at right now, and inside it is the insert hyperlink function. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be linking to the fluid grid and media queries and the index just to that folder, because we'll have an index file in there. So we're just going to click that, and that sets that up. I'm going to go ahead and close that so that it's out of my way. I personally like to keep my workspace clear. If there's something in there that I'm not actively using, I don't want to have it up there. So I'm going to do a new HTML document, and I'm going to call this index.html because it sits inside the fluid grid and media queries. And I always like to have titles on these. And so I've now got a HTML5 document that's ready for me to go. Now the way that we do this is that in order for this to work, we're going to have a CSS document attached to it. Where you put the CSS document, I'm going to put it in this same folder just because that keeps things clean. Normally I would have a folder set up just for CSS, but I'm going to add it to this because we're not going to have a lot of documents in this folder. So what I need to do is a new CSS document, and I'm going to save that into the fluid grid exercises, or fluid grid and media queries, and we're just going to call this fluid grid lab.css, and I want to make sure I save it as type, not web pages, but CSS files. So I click on save, go back to my site view, and I should have the HTML document and the CSS document there and ready to go. Now I need to connect these. I need to attach this document to the other document. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out, and you can leave this attached. I'm just pulling it up here so that you can see what's going on. I'm using the styles, and what I want to do is attach a style sheet to this. I simply browse to it, and in this case I want to link. I don't want to import it, and I only want to attach this to the current page. You could choose to attach that to all HTML pages, but I don't want to do that at this point. So I'm going to choose OK and move that back out of the way. You'll notice that back into the HTML document there is a link that has been added, and it really hasn't done anything yet because I haven't applied any rules. But I'm going to need to have that available so that I can create work with my HTML and my fluid or my CSS as I make my fluid grid. Now I'm going to open the mock-up that I did for the previous lab that I did in Visio. You don't have to have done yours in Video or Visio if you have other software, but Visio is a nice tool to use. But in the previous, I designed for large screen, tablet, and phone. If you recall, the large screen is using the 960 grid, all of them. This is 12 column, the tablet is 8 column, and the phone is 4 column. But they all have the same document object model at this point, in that they have a ID of wrapper that goes around the whole thing. Then inside of that there is a header, and inside that is nav, and you'll notice that those are using that we are going to use the HTML selectors for header and nav. We're not going to use divs with the ID of nav. We're going to do the same thing on footer, and then we're going to use divs to have a main body, and I'll bring it to the full screen so you can see the whole thing. Main body div, a left, center, and right div. So each of those will be a div that sits inside a main body. So this isn't a complicated structure, but it is one that uses nested divs, and it also uses some of the new semantic markup from HTML5. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we are going to replicate this with code, or build the code version of this. So I'm coming into the body, and there's a couple ways that I could do this. I could choose the insert div tag, although with my HTML5 codes, that's may not be the appropriate thing to do. See, because it just gives us a div, opening and closing div. Now if we wanted to, we could just use that close or that code and replace it with header. And you notice that when this changes, it starts showing me errors in there. That is a really nice feature to have in here, where it interprets your code on the fly and tells you when you have an error. So I've got a header, which is opens and closes. Now, if we go back, what I missed was the outside div of wrapper. So I'm going to leave that header in there. But around it, I'm going to put a div, and let's see if I can select this. Double click, it replaced it. So what I'm going to do with this div is I'm going to give it an ID of wrapper. So I go in there, div ID of wrapper, and then that creates the wrapper for us. And I'm going to just move that down to give myself room to work, and I'm going to put the header in there. Again, the header needs to go inside of the wrapper, and it automatically puts the closing tag on there, which is nice. Moving back to our diagram, within the header there is the nav, so I need to make sure that I am inside here. And again, it automatically makes that. Now I'm going to drop this down, and I'm going to do some indenting just to keep the code clear. So that you can see where everything falls out there. So we've got our header and our nav. The next element that we need to do, if you recall, is the main body div, and then the left, center, and right elements within that. So coming still within wrapper, but outside of the header, I want to do a div of main body. And again, I'm going to leave that indented there and give myself some room to work. So I come in here, I indent again, and it picks up on my natural indenting and it moves forward with that. So I need to have the divs of left, center, and right. Okay, so we've got the main body div with left, center, and right. And I'll move my closing div tag back up there to keep it clean. And you'll notice there's nothing down here yet, so I'm just going to put a little text in each of these so that we can see what's going on when we're down in the design screen. And it won't show this until I click out of this screen and it kind of refreshes itself. When I come down here, you'll see that my structure is in there. And nice thing is that whatever I am selected on, it shows the code that I'm working with at that point in time. That is a nice feature. So that you can see sort of the document object model, or the portion of the document object model that you're working on at that particular moment. Now I might want to add that you can do this in almost exactly the same way in Dreamweaver, because all we're really doing is coding with the help of the software at this point in time. You might as well, you're more than welcome to get familiar with it and do it in that way. Now I need to add, and I'll bring up the document I was working from again. We've got the left, center, right, and the main body, and then we have footer, and then that's going to be the last of the document object model, at least from a structural standpoint, that we're going to use. And footer is, again, that's now recognized by this, so it's recognizing the HTML5. Let's go ahead and finish that, and that cleans up the errors from the code. And I'll go ahead and put my cursor in there and put footer so that we can see what we're working with. And I click out of there and it becomes visible again. So to once more visualize this, we have got a structure that begins with our body. Inside of the body we have got the wrapper, and the wrapper is just a containing div to allow everything to sit inside of it. We've got the header, and inside the header we have the nav. Then outside of the header we come to the main body, and inside the main body we have the left, center, and right divs. And then when we get outside of the main body again, we come to the footer, and we've got the footer there. So that's the document object model that represents what we're doing here. And the thing is, because of the approach that we're taking, the responsive design, all of these have the same document object model. So as we get into the way that we're doing this, we're not going to have to change the content at all in order to lay out our basic responsive grid. What we're going to have to do, and I'm just cleaning up my code a little bit here, what we are going to have to do is we're going to have to work within this style sheet, and we're going to need to introduce media queries to apply different sets of rules at different times.